Hey everybody, it's Sunday and we got snow. As you can see probably behind me here, lots of snow. We just finished cleaning up. That's what it looks like through the valley. You can't see out through the valley because it's still snowing. Walt and I this morning cleaning up. Race hauler patiently awaiting to be loaded and head south. But I want to show you guys something that was kind of cool. Something that I got. Racetrack in town here where we started out racing. I didn't actually start there. It was a year after they opened it, but Canaan Fair Speedway, Canaan USA Speedway. That's the original sign that was there. We managed to get a hold of it as a keepsake, and it's two-sided. It was hand painted, and so back in the I believe it was 88, 89 when they started the track. Charlie Elliott built many racetracks up here in New England. He bought the property, and it was a fairgrounds, changed it into it was a half mile. My grandfather raced on the old half mile horse track, and then they changed it into a quarter mile. Then he built third mile paved track, and so on and so forth. But just a little cool piece of stuff. Lots of parts and pieces. Restoring body panels, new panels. My Trans Am from when I was a kid, 78. Trans Am needs to be restored. But anyway, it's about 24 degrees with the wind blowing, so it's actually about 12. So I've had enough for today. Let's go in the race shop, see what Walt's doing. He's on his phone.
On the phone.
He's on his phone. I was just showing him the Canaan USA sign.
Oh.
From days gone by. So
Show them the lovely snow we got.
yes, I showed him all the snow we got and how lovely it is outside right now.
Yep.
So anyway,
not lovely, that's why we're in here.
that's right, that's why we're in here. It's actually pretty. The snow is pretty. It's pretty cold, but it actually is nice for Christmas. I don't want to sound like a Grinch.
January 26th, gone.
Gone. Yeah, we're fine with it. If it was gone to 20, if it got here for Christmas and gone, that'd be fine. Mowing the lawn would be all right. It gets really cold, and there are places obviously it gets even colder than here, obviously a bunch. But right now with the wind blowing, 12 degrees really kind of gets your attention for sure. So we're in the shop racing, and we're getting ready to go racing. The cars are coming along pretty good. We've been pecking away at it. Lots of little things. We got some stuff we're going to talk to you about today, different things. So stay tuned, and we'll.
Yeah. As always, thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Bottom right corner, and you'll see what we got going on. My car's coming along pretty good. So is Dad's, like he said. So stay tuned.
So our last video, by the way, which a lot of people watched, we were talking about the big block versus the small block, what the chassis differences were, body, stuff like that, and we covered a lot of that stuff. We had a few questions, transmissions, steering boxes, things like that. So what we're gonna do is Walt's car again is perfect cutaway car right now, because this car was completely stripped, inspected, sandblasted, and repowder coated, and is in the process of being put back together. And before we put anything back together, we inspect all of it. A visual inspection of every piece, every nut, every bolt, everything is checked before we put it back together. And even on my car, that one's not completely stripped. Okay, we rotate every couple, every other year type thing, going all the way, unless it absolutely needs it. But the rear end, all that stuff has been out of it, completely torn apart to pieces, inspected to make sure that it was, ready to go. So a couple of things. One, the question about the transmission. I'm gonna try to get you a shot here of the transmission in here. So, apologize. So this is the Bert transmission, and what we have is, this is the shifter between the driver's feet, okay? And his is not a remote, mine is a remote. So what happens is, one of the questions is, well, it's a direct drive. So once we're going, you hear the cars kind of, they snap it into direct. Once a car goes into direct drive, that is direct. He has this little release button here, and once it's in there, he's good to go.
Yeah. It's pretty simple. This is, I mean, so that's neutral. So it's bizarre because in neutral always is low gear as well. So you have neutral here, and then instead of pushing a clutch like in a regular manual transmission car, which is not popular at all anymore, you push the clutch in to stop and kick the car out of gear. So right now in neutral, you could shift it into neutral and you don't go anywhere
Until you touch.
So this is like, we call it the clutch, but it's an engaging clutch. So it's almost like a lawnmower, you know, when you like push the PTO or push your foot down on like the gas thing. You push this and you'll go forward and low. Same thing with reverse. So that's low, and then you have to pick this up and pull it back, and that's reverse. And again, to move in reverse, you have to engage the clutch. So you pull the lever. Now going into direct is kind of a funky thing. So you're in neutral, you're going, and usually I'll go, and you get the car rolling till about, well, usually I look down around 2,500, 3,000 RPM sometimes. Honestly, you don't even look at the tach most of the time. You just do it by feel, and you can hear. So you pull your clutch, you're going, you let off that and snap it into direct, and then you're good. And then it's in direct drive, and the motor is turning everything. It's 1-to-1. So you don't have to push the clutch. We don't have to push the clutch while we're racing or anything. Pretty much once you're in high gear, it's going on its own. So and then once you want to get out of gear, all you do is you got your one hand on the wheel, and for me, I have to reach down between my legs and you just pull it back. And sometimes it snaps a little hard, but Bert's done a good job with these transmissions. They're pretty bulletproof. You know, this is a newer style Gen 2, and I like the one between my legs. I had some trouble with the remote shifting stuff, and I think it was more me. So I went last year, and we actually couldn't get the cable or something. So I just stayed with this one, and I'm perfectly fine with that because I'm 6'4" and can reach down between. Dad's a little bit shorter, so he can't reach as well. You know, especially because you're reaching down between the steering wheel, because you got the steering wheel on. You know, obviously there's no seat. We got your steering wheel on, so you have to either reach down around, or I know of some guys, not probably safe, but as you're going slow, you reach down in between and pull. I always reach down around and shift that way. So it's a pretty neat application. Lightweight, the lightest weight you can get transmission. You know, the Bert transmission compared to the old 3-speeds we ran in ACT late models and stuff. This weighs, I don't know, 26 pounds or something, 28 pounds.
Yeah, it's really,
and a regular
really
3-speed manual transmission weighs almost 100. So
right.
It's a lot of lightweight, you know, to it. But this is, I can't think of any other brand that anybody else runs. Falcon, which is a Winners brand. So same idea, different brand. It's Ford to Chevy.
Yeah.
But on Dad's, we'll show you on Dad's, his has got a remote shifter, which is pretty cool. So as you can look down, you know, he's got the cover on. You know, we always have a cover here because you saw in the other one, the drive shaft runs right here. So this is the safety cover, the intrusion plate. You can see there's no shifter over here. There's a hole for it, but there's no shifter. That's because his is up here. So with his, it's the same idea. So I think this is low. I think it's the same pattern.
Yep.
So you're in low, you push to go slow. Once you're, you know, revved up to say 3 grand or whatever, you snap it into direct. So that's direct. So then if you want to pull out, you pop it out, and then reverse, on this one you have to go over and back. So it won't go because the drive shaft's still in it. But you go over and back, and same thing, you pull that. So pretty neat application. I know back in the day, the guys used to use like a, I don't know, out of like a bread truck back in the day. You used in your first modified, had a 3-speed between your legs.
Short 3-speed. I think, I don't know if it was a UPS truck or something they built them for, but it was, yeah, they used a short, like in the old time modifieds, they used, when I started messing around with them, short 3-speed. I thought they came into like a bread truck, UPS truck. I don't know, some of you guys that are watching that, you know, used to mess around with that stuff, you could let us know, but I think that's where they came from to start with. There was guys who actually used an automatic. There was a guy who used an automatic at one point. You know, whatever you could do, but yeah, Bert come out with these. I don't know when, but anyway, that's what we use to get rolling. It's direct drive, so there's no clutch, nothing.
Yeah,
It's locked on.
You don't have to shift on the fly, any of that.
You can see here the bell housing and stuff like that. This is where the motor would hook. There's a coupler that goes on the back of our motor, slides onto that. That's the transmission that locks it in, and you're ready to rock and roll. And this is the same in a crate car or a big block, doesn't matter. I hear some of the big block guys actually like the Gen 1 trannies a little bit better than the Gen 2s. I can't attest to that as far as durability or anything like that. We haven't had any trouble, but again, we make much less horsepower than the big guys that are running the big motors. So
yeah,
once we get a big block, we'll be able to tell you more about the durability and stuff like that. The other thing we wanted to talk about was brakes. We have the brake system, and way back a guy asked me about the old handbrake, and yes, when I first started, they had a handbrake, which is crazy to think, but they actually had a handbrake. So, like here in Walt's car again, being a perfect cutaway right now, what you see right there is the brake setup, and both masters are mounted here. We label them front, rear. Dirt car, we always put the bottom one on the rear, and the reason that we do that is if there's vibration in this, even though it's got a piece in it, this is the adjuster, so we can adjust this either way, and we always know that up is front, down is rear. If for some reason, worst case scenario, you'd rather have more rear in a dirt car than a front, okay, so that's why we go down. Don't even have to look at it. Literally, while we're racing, you can reach down there and put a few rounds in if you need to as the track's changing. We actually use that a lot. You use it a lot to adjust the handling of the car throughout the race. As the track changes, then we change it from beginning of the night to the end of the night. And then what we do is reset it up at the beginning of the week. We'll bring it back to basically neutral, right?
Yeah, it's funny. Dad, I think, likes a little more front brakes at times than I do. It's all about how you drive the car.
Right.
You know, I like a little more rear brake, but I also throw the car, I think, a little more sideways at times, especially Lebanon Valley. If you watch both our in-cars, the cars are set up pretty similar, but we drove them completely different. So it's all a feel. You know, as the track dries out, I like to put more front brake in to settle the car down, you know, so you don't slide, because when it's slippery, you know, it's like ice, you slide. So you try and settle the car down, and it took me a couple years to figure out how to use it correctly, quite honestly. At Bear Ridge, I struggled for probably a year or so trying to understand how to adjust the brakes correctly, you know, because if the track's, you know, got a ton of bite, usually you don't need a whole lot of front brake because you go down in and throw it sideways. Yeah, but that was with a bar car too. When you go from bar to coils, you adjust the brakes even more. So it multiplies the brakes, I think, a lot. So this is a big handy tool, and you can see the master, I mean, it hooks to the pedal, and then you can see all the brake lines are run throughout. So pretty much this runs to here. When you step on it, it pushes the pistons back in this and pushes the fluid to the calipers. We don't have any of the brakes on the cars at the moment, but pretty much it's like a plumbing system. You know, all the brake fluid runs through here. It's the exact same system as like you'd see in a car. The only thing that's kind of neat is we have a right front shut off. Kind of only use that if the car's ill handling. You know, if you're struggling. Some guys use it all the time. Again, personally, I'm not a huge fan of it. I always like the four-wheel brakes. But for some guys, they use a right front shut off and shut the right front brake off. Like on a sprint car, they don't even use a right front brake. They don't mount it at all. Right. So that's another tool to use, you know, adjustment tool. So there's actually a lot between the brakes. Those are one of the biggest adjustments you can make in the race car while racing. You know, even at Lebanon Valley once in a while, I don't know if they ever caught it on camera, in a heat race, I might go down, and going down the straightaway, you stick your hand down and adjust the brakes, put a couple rounds to the rear or a couple to the front, just to make the car get in the corner better, you know, middle off. You don't really use the brakes, but getting down in, if it helps set the nose better. So that's a big adjustment. Some guys have other things. They can make the panhard bar stuff adjustable, but that's not legal for us, and I always kind of felt if you missed it there, I don't know how much better you can get, but it's one of those deals. They make everything adjustable nowadays.
Yeah, definitely everything's adjustable, so they limit it what we can adjust. Like you said, the panhard bar, there's also an adjuster setup that can go over here. That on the right hand side panhard bar, we don't run that anymore. But yeah, back in the day they had a hand brake, and it was mounted to the brake. It was a lever, and you would pull the lever for the braking. Now, I was new to racing anything when those were out. I'm not really sure what the whole theory of that was. I think it might have been space. They also, because they didn't feel like there was room in the cars with your feet and everything, they were being sorted out at that time back in the, you know, the late 80s, early 90s. These things were still really evolving. Not that they're not now, but they were really evolving. So guys were trying all kinds of different things. I think I drove one modified slash coupe, jalopy, whatever you want to call it, that my grandfather had with that had a handbrake in it, and I don't know if I used it or not, but they definitely did have them as far as that goes.
So did you have a pedal and a handbrake, or is it just the handbrake?
I honestly don't remember. I think some of them had both. Like I said, I only ran a couple races.
It'd be a little hairy for me.
The first I don't even remember the first modified race that I ran. I don't remember what the brake system in that was. The first one I ran was a coupe slash modified. It was a modified, but it was not a modern. It was kind of shaped like this, and it was a car that everybody had struggled with, and I got in it and drove it the first time, first night, and I won the modified feature with it, and the rest has been in the history books. I don't know if I was just running scared or what it was, but everything just, the stars aligned, and I won the race with it the first time I ever set foot in a modified. So, but certainly they're a whole lot different now, nicer to drive. So just, that was one of the questions that people had asked, so we thought we'd address that, you know. Again, new stuff, you know, we rotated out just back to the brake thing again. These are all brand new master cylinders in this car. We change them out. They're pretty durable. Willwood makes good pieces, but the adjuster here is really key, that is set correctly. There's measurements and things for the balance of how the brakes work and all that. So things that are going on inside the cars that, you know, as a fan, when you're watching a race, yeah, we're busy. And what's going on in there, you're hanging on a steering wheel, you're trying to pull a tear off, you're adjusting brakes, you know, and you may be adjusting a panhard bar. There are even cars that, you know, have shock absorbers that are adjustable. We're not allowed anything like that. But a lot going on inside there with those drivers while we're working to try and get there. And certainly it makes a difference, restarts and things. If you've been trying to pass somebody, I know for myself, been trying to pass somebody and I couldn't quite get it, you know, on the restart, you get a chance to think for a lap or two. All right, what can I do? I may make a change in the brake adjustment so that maybe just that lap I can think I can get a better entry, high, low, or an early set, so that I can get up underneath the guy. Crate racing, I feel like it's really important because our cars are so equal that every little tiny, you know, thing makes a huge difference. The big blocks and the open cars, they can get into trouble on the track, make it up with horsepower. We get into trouble and we're just flat in trouble. We can't make it up. So yep. That's why I think sometimes the crate races, unfortunately, a little bit rougher to watch, because guys know the restarts are absolutely huge. If you don't get a good jump on a restart, you can lose, you know, 5, 6, 7 positions hung out to dry. So the guys are so amped up on the start to make sure you're on that guy's bumper, to make sure that nobody's going to cut you off or get down, that sometimes it ends up catastrophic, quite frankly, and it makes some of the races, you know, not fun to watch, and they're not fun to drive either, as far as that goes. When you get the caution-filled stuff, that it's not fun for the fans and it's not fun for us either. We want green flag racing, and so just, you know, a few things like that. One of the other questions somebody asked, they saw somewhere along the line, they saw a Hammond, right there, Hammond Brothers Racing. Yeah, there you go. This is our door of stickers. That was Walt's first act late model. It was a decal. That was one of my Pro All-Star Series touring cars. Super late models that I toured with for a few years, modifieds. We just kind of hang the stuff on the door. Walt, when he was playing football and racing, they did an article about him playing football during the day and racing at night, literally winning races with he won some races, his ankles were still taped from the football game that afternoon,
Purple socks.
Purple socks underneath the uniform, and switching from one to the other. But anyway, the Hammond Brothers Racing came from my brother and I. When I first started racing, our whole family races. They still do. My brother still races, and he's the A in the ADW that you see on the side of the cars. That's the building. We own a small building company, have for 20 plus years, and for a while, before Walt was even around, we were partnered together. So it was Hammond Brothers Racing, and we raced on the Pro All-Star Series, toured, did a bunch of big races, stuff like that, 250s, 300s, up into Canada and all over. And so I did a fair amount of pavement racing, and then that started to kind of slow down, and life started to happen, and little guys like him come along. And as a dad, instead of being on the road racing all the time, I basically decided that I wanted to be home with my family. And so I wanted to race, but being gone all the time, it was tough to explain to Junior why I was leaving on Thursday for Canada to race, and he couldn't go. I couldn't buffalo him anymore. And so anyway, I made the right choice. I made the right choice with family and wouldn't trade it for anything. But anyway, so my brother ended up, it kind of petered off, and then he had raced. He had sacrificed a bunch and became a crew chief for me. And so he got an opportunity to drive again, and I didn't blame him for taking it, and he made good on it and went dirt racing for Stuart Bean, for the guy that owns Walt stuff that lives down the street here. And so that's where the Hammond Brothers Racing came from, and that was one of the decals left over, and again we're stuck it on the wall. Now Walt and I formed this team. We started in this shop in here with nothing.
Started with a Salamander and an Acura.
Yeah, we had an Acura and a space heater. We call them Salamanders, whatever whatever part country. Yeah, his little 4-cylinder right there. That was me when I was really young.
The pink car.
In the pink car. Funny story, the pink car ended up pink because we didn't have enough red and we didn't have enough white. So me and my cousin, it was at like 3:30 in the morning. We dumped it both together. We came up with pink, and that's the color it got painted. And about 24 hours later, we were on the racetrack up at White Mountain Motorsports Park for the first time ever. That was back when we just didn't know better. But anyway, yeah, we started here with nothing and built everything that we have. Walt racing with his 4-cylinder at, was it 12? Whatever, something like that, 12 years old.
Grade.
We they had a kids class, so we started with that, and then we went from there. They kind of tossed him out of there because they didn't think that him winning 9 out of 15 races was good, and so we moved him to a street stock, which they didn't want to do. But I said, well, you don't want him in the kids class, well, where do you want him? And so we put him in a street stock. In the second year, he won a championship at 14 in the street stock racing adults. And yeah, we're coming along good. The cars are coming along. It's getting close to the holidays, like next week.
Christmas is Saturday.
Yeah, Christmas is Saturday. So time's ticking. Time's a ticking. Yeah, and you can still see in the shop lots of parts scattered everywhere. It actually looks like an absolute mess. It's actually not. I mean, a lot of like stuff that's on that bench right there. Those hubs go to this car here. On this side, those hubs go to that. They have been completely cleaned, inspected. They're ready to go back together with new seals and be packed with grease, ready to go. So things are coming along. Hopefully, new bodies will be in next week, and motor stuff has been taken care of. So everything looks good, and next week will be slower here in the shop because we'll take the time for Christmas to celebrate Christmas, or whatever you happen to celebrate is fine with you. We celebrate Christmas. If you celebrate something else, well, that's okay too.
Happy holidays.
Yeah, so happy holidays. We'd like to say Merry Christmas, but whatever it is you celebrate, congratulations to you, and spend it with your family, and then go to the races. That's really what you should do, is go to the races, right?
Yes, sir.
Christmas, there should be a race for Christmas.
I don't know if they'd be happy.
I don't think everybody would be happy with that, but we would.
Chili Bowl's coming.
The Chili Bowl's coming, yeah. We watch that on TV. There's some guys going out to that. That's always exciting, the indoor stuff.
Yeah, it's indoor season now.
Yeah.
You can see like they race on the boardwalk down in New Jersey, right?
Yeah, the TQ.
Atlantic City,
Yep.
Syracuse, all those places. I've actually never been to an indoor race. Next year we talked about going to the Gateway Nationals to watch.
Yeah.
So I think I'd like the full-bodied car stuff, even though I personally thought the midget race at the Gateway Nationals was the best race there was.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That was a great race watching that.
I said I was going to go to PRI show some point, so maybe we'll do it all next year.
Yeah,
just keep getting busier and busier.
So, but anyway, we'll just take a minute and say thanks to all the sponsors. You know, Akabe come on board this year. It was the first time working with this company. They were very gracious in helping us out, and they were a huge help to us. Every little thing helps, and we get, over the years, we get that. You'll have people come along and say, well, you know, we would help you, or we would help a race team, but we can't afford to. And if you want to, you can afford to. There are many myths out there that it takes millions of dollars. If you want to be involved with a race team, whether it be our race team or any race team, you can be at any level. Most sponsors now at our level, the local and regional levels, is for the love of the game. They understand that, you know, and so we just, our sponsors, everybody's sponsors, we appreciate all the people that are out there that help racers, not just us, but help all of the racers to keep our sport going and understand how it actually works.
Yeah, I think a lot of people realize that, well, don't realize that sometimes sponsorship isn't in the form of money.
Right.
You know, even say Jim's gas station, if they gave us diesel fuel to the truck, that's a sponsorship. You'd be on the car. Product sponsors, you see a lot of guys sponsored by Winners, Strange Oval, iBox Springs, whoever.
Right.
Those are all product sponsors. They probably get products.
Yeah.
So product sponsors can be as key as monetary sponsors as well.
Yeah.
Money's not everything, you know. If you can sponsor fuel, that's awesome. If you can sponsor products, that's awesome. If you can sponsor food, that's all part of it. It's all a big process.
Right.
But anybody that sponsors a race car is always huge, and they always appreciate that. We seem to have trouble sometimes finding sponsors because we race so far away from home. You know, that's just
it's definitely a little bit tougher being on the road. A crate team on the road racing. We're not national, but we're kind of regional. But I'm not sure what we are. We just travel. We do what we do. But anyway, thanks to all of the ones that do it. Akabe helped us out. You know, Stu and Kathy Bean, the other car that he drives, they're always there to help with a tire, with some fuel, with something. You know, ADW Builders. We've obviously owned the company, but my brother and I have been in the race for a long time, understand it, try to contribute to not only to the race teams, but to our local youth sports, all kinds of things in the community. We try to help out as well with that. And so, you know, all those people that are out there, whether you help us or whoever you help, thank you so much.
Yeah. CJ Auto Body, we forgot Hobbsy.
Yes, yeah, Hobbsy has been key forever.
Painted the whole truck for us.
Yeah.
If I called him and said, hey, I need this frame painted, he would have had it over there already. He fixed my roof. He's more of the product sponsor guy, and he's huge, you know, because we're not painters, we're not body men.
No.
That dude's bailed me out so many times in my own personal truck when I've run into something, you know. So, CJ Auto Body, he's a great guy. If you're ever local to Canaan, need body work done, give him a call or send me a Facebook message. I'll get you his info.
Yeah, excellent body man. Custom car stuff, all that. Did all my pro stocks for a year. He was key player in when I was Pavement Racing. Excellent tire guy. Been around the racing game for a long time. And but anyway, just want a quick shout out to all those sponsors. Like I said, whether you're sponsoring us or you're sponsoring, you know, other race teams, or you're sponsoring the track or whatever, it takes all of us as a big racing community to do what we do, and we enjoy doing it. We enjoy performing for the fans and helping out. Hopefully somebody maybe sell something, or just, you know, you appreciating racing in its entirety here. So thanks, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that stuff, and spend some time with your family. We definitely will. We're going to eat a lot of food. We're going to have a few presents, and hang out, tell stories, probably racing stories. Imagine that.
No, we usually don't tell a lot of racing stories at Christmas.
No, we try to shut it off until late in the afternoon, and then something will creep in about it, and all of a sudden it
happens.
But that's what we do.
It's no different than what you love. If you love baseball, you talk about baseball.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you love food, you talk about food. We love all that stuff.
I like food. Food is
on that note, thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment. A lot of good questions.
Yeah, keep sending us the questions. We like the questions, whether it be questions about us, what we do, when we did it, whatever it is. If we get enough of them, we'll sit and do a whole episode of questions. If we get enough of them where people really curious, we enjoy talking with people, as some of you have noticed after the races. You know what I mean? We'll stay till the last person leaves and answer questions and talk with you. And we really do enjoy that. We really do appreciate it. So send us the questions. We'll answer them. It's a chance for everybody to get to know everybody, and we can't wait to see you at the racetrack.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, man.